Ancient scrolls nobody could read for 2,000 years, AI decoding thoughts straight from brain scans, and machines designing things that have never existed anywhere in nature. These are times AI did something scientists said was impossible. Alright, this is the creepiest one for me and the most obvious. AI videos that are pretty much indistinguishable from real ones. Now, I think we all knew this would happen eventually, but did any of us think it would happen as fast as it has? Yeah, this isn't really an eventuality. It's already happening. The amount of videos I'll scroll past on Instagram or do a double take wondering if it's real or AI, it's kinda freaky. People will be arguing in the comments about it too. I've talked a bunch on the channel about how bad this could end up being, and my thoughts honestly haven't changed. Fingers crossed we get some kind of regulation put in place so that we'll always know what's AI generated, but we probably shouldn't hold our breath. When Vesuvius erupted in 79 CE, it didn't just bury Pompeii. It also hit a library in the nearby city of Herculaneum with so much heat that hundreds of ancient scrolls were instantly turned to carbon. They looked like lumps of charcoal, and for about 300 years, that was that. Nobody could do anything with them. Try to unroll one, it crumbles. Try to cut into it, it shatters. Historians basically just accepted that whatever was on those scrolls was lost. A competition called the Vesuvius Challenge decided to try anyway. Researchers took high-resolution 3D X-ray scans of the scrolls. The scans didn't show anything useful, again, it just looked like charcoal, but they trained AI to look for something more subtle. The ink these scrolls were written with was made from carbon and water, and when it dried, it left a tiny raised texture, smaller than a millimeter. The AI learned to detect those microscopic bumps, filter out all the burned material around them, and there it was. Readable Greek text came out. Finally, researchers could read these scrolls that hadn't been touched in 2,000 years. Your body runs on proteins. A protein starts as a chain of chemical building blocks and it folds into a specific 3D shape. That shape is what determines what it actually does. For over 50 years, one of the biggest problems in biology was whether you could look at that chain and predict the shape it would fold into. The reason it was so hard is the number of possibilities. Scientists estimated that if a computer tried every possible option one by one, it would take longer than the age of the universe. So that was obviously out. Google DeepMind built a model called AlphaFold 2 that didn't try to simulate physics at all. It treated amino acid chains more like language. Over time, it learned which sequences tend to fold into which kind of shapes. So when it sees a brand new protein, it doesn't calculate everything from scratch. It compares it to what's already seen and makes a very educated guess about the final structure. It ended up mapping out 200 million proteins, basically every protein science has ever identified. Researchers working on diseases now have access to something that just didn't exist before. Bacteria keep evolving and getting resistant to our antibiotics, and we're running out of new ones to throw at them. The traditional methods have basically dried up, and finding something genuinely new is almost impossibly hard because the number of possible molecules you'd have to search through is larger than the number of stars in the observable universe. No human team is getting through that. Well, a team at MIT used a neural network to look for new antibiotics. They trained it using thousands of molecules they already knew about, along with which ones actually kill bacteria. Then they had it scan through a giant list of over 100 million different molecules. In just days, it pulled out something researchers had missed completely. They called it halicin. When they tested it in a lab, it wiped out a bunch of dangerous drug-resistant bacteria. It's pretty cool how it works, actually. Instead of attacking bacteria in the usual way antibiotics do, it messes with the electrical charge across their cell membranes. Basically, just kills their power. A lot of modern technology depends on special solid materials like the ones used in batteries, solar panels, and computer chips. The problem is there are an insane number of ways to combine elements, and only a tiny fraction of those combinations have ever been discovered. For a long time, scientists had only found about 48,000 stable materials. Google DeepMind built a system called Genome that skips a lot of that trial and error. It looks at atoms and checks whether the bonds between them would actually hold together. Then it runs through millions of possible combinations on a computer. In the end, it predicted about 2.2 million new stable materials. That's roughly the equivalent of hundreds of years of lab work done in a single project. To see if it was real, researchers at Lawrence Berkeley National Lab took some of the designs and actually made them in a lab, and a bunch of them worked. Reading someone's thoughts from outside the skull without surgery or implants, that was considered science fiction. The best non-invasive tool we have is an MRI, which tracks blood flow in the brain. But blood flow is slow. It shifts over a few seconds, and thoughts move way faster than that. Scientists said that lag made it impossible to pull anything specific, real sentences, real meaning, out of a brain scan. Researchers at the University of Texas at Austin built what they called a semantic decoder. People lay in an fMRI scanner for hours listening to podcasts while an AI learned how that particular person's brain activity correlated with different words and ideas. Then those same people listened to something completely new, and the AI tried to decode what they were hearing. Now, it didn't always get the exact words, but it kept getting the meaning right. Someone heard, for example, "I don't have my driver's license yet," and the AI output, "She has not even started to learn to drive yet." Not identical, but the same idea, which is pretty nuts. CRISPR lets scientists cut and edit specific pieces of DNA, and it's been a massive deal for medicine. But humans didn't exactly come up with it. We found it in bacteria, which use it to fight off viruses. So everything we use today is adapted from something evolution already made. The belief was that building a totally new gene editor from scratch, meaning nothing borrowed from nature, wasn't possible. DNA is just too complicated, and we don't fully understand it well enough to invent something like that from nothing. At Stanford's Arc Institute, though, researchers built an AI called Evo and fed it massive amounts of genetic data from across living things. It learned to read DNA kind of like text, picking up how different sections tend to work and interact. Then they had it generate completely new genetic sequences that it just made up. They built those sequences in a physical lab, and they worked. Functional molecular tools that don't exist anywhere in nature capable of editing DNA. Chess computers beating humans is old news, but chess is a game where both players see the whole board, no secrets. Poker is completely different. You can't see your opponent's cards, and the game is basically built on lying. For a long time, the idea was that a machine couldn't beat elite humans at 6-player no-limit Texas Hold'em because there's no mathematically correct move when everyone at the table is bluffing. You need intuition. You need to be able to read people, and machines can't do that. Carnegie Mellon and Facebook built an AI called Pluribus. It didn't try to read anyone, it just played trillions of hands against copies of itself until it figured out how to be genuinely unpredictable. When to push, when to fold, and when to bluff in a way nobody could get a handle on. They put it at a table with top professional poker players, and it dominated, doing things that didn't fit any conventional poker strategy humans had come up with. Great, yeah, let's make an AI start getting really good at deception. How do we really think that that is supposed to go well for us? Climate simulations are how scientists try to figure out what the planet's going to do as emissions keep rising. The traditional way they work is through detailed physics equations, calculating how air moves, how oceans shift, how heat spreads across millions of data points, all interacting with each other. It's very expensive. A long-range simulation can take weeks on a supercomputer the size of a room. Researchers found a way around it by replacing the physics complex equations with AI. Models like Samudra Ocean Framework were trained on decades of real climate data and learned the patterns, how weather systems develop, how heat moves, how oceans behave, without having to recalculate everything every single time. Because it's pattern matching instead of equation solving, it can run a 1,000-year climate simulation in about 24 hours on a regular old computer. Think about how humans figured out physics. We watched things move, and we slowly worked out the math to describe what we were seeing, but we always came in with prior knowledge. We knew what gravity was. We knew what speed was. We had words and concepts for everything we were measuring. The assumption was that you couldn't figure out the rules of a physical system without that foundation. You need to know what you're looking for before you can find it. Researchers at Columbia University did something pretty amazing though. They showed an AI raw video footage of stuff moving, a double pendulum swinging in an unpredictable way, a flickering flame, planets moving through space, and they gave the AI absolutely no other information. The only task it was given was to watch the footage and predict what would happen next. Now, to accurately predict motion, you need to track the right things. For a swinging pendulum, you need to track the angle and the speed. Those two things are what determine where it goes next. If you're only tracking one of them, your predictions fall apart. The AI, just by trying to get good at predicting the next frame of the video, was able to figure out exactly what would happen. It didn't have names for any of it. It wasn't thinking in terms of angle or velocity, but essentially it watched a video of something moving and reverse engineered the rules on its own, with no human concepts to start from. I can't even really wrap my head around that, to be honest with you. All right, guys, that has been our list for today. Thanks so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and I will see you again soon. Bye!